The Chicago Bears are coming off a great Week 7 win over the New Orleans Saints, and now they get to travel to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who are expecting to get Lamar Jackson back for this matchup. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this game and provide our predictions at the end. Be sure to leave a comment, let us know who you think is going to win and why. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, get notified when new videos come out. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do
So,
it.
Bears fans, I know the Saints, they're 1-6, but they're probably the best of the win, like the one win or winless teams. Because I am impressed with how Spencer Rattler has been playing, and they do have some weapons out there and a solid
Yeah.
defense, to be fair. And I thought the Bears took it to them. Great overall performance from this just Bears team in general. I thought the defense created a lot of good opportunities for turnovers. Spencer Rattler had 3 picks as well, too. Really shut down the rushing game as well. And I thought just an overall good balanced performance from this offense. And you love to see 222 rushing yards by your Bears team. If you're a DeAndre Swift guy or fantasy owner, you really love having Ben Johnson in that system. And it makes sense, too, especially with what he was able to do in Detroit. And I think that's going to be something that the Ravens hope they really had long talks about as well in this offseason. Because sure, offense looks awful without Lamar Jackson. That's kind of be expected. But this defense is just atrocious, just not good at all. Yeah, they have a bunch of injuries on that side of the ball, and I think that's really just going to be is can't believe I'm saying this, but can Baltimore Ravens maybe slow down Caleb Williams and this in this offense in this matchup here? And
Yeah.
I think that's just going to be one of the big questions going into this week. Ryan, when you see this matchup here, what are your overall thoughts on both these teams and also what team needs to do to execute out a victory?
Yeah. So you kind of hit the nail on the head on what I was going to say there. So rushing yards allowed, or the Ravens are 26th in the league, and offensive rushing yards, the Chicago Bears are 7th in offensive rushing yards. So that's just a really big mismatch. And I think you look at the way Ben Johnson likes to run this offense, it is a heavy dose of running the football. That was last week. The Saints also one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, and Ben Johnson just abuse those guys up front. And DeAndre Swift had a fantastic day. And not that you want to take the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands, but I think, especially in the last few years, some of the best offenses have had efficient passing games and a heavy dose of like running between the tackles. And I think that is something that the Bears and Ben Johnson is a theory that they subscribe to. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's exactly how they want to play. I think that's exactly how they're going to attack this defense. The other aspect of it is too, though, the Ravens defense is just bad all around. They're not good in passing yards allowed either. And so I think coming in, maybe Ben Johnson is able to get a lead and then they run the ball more consistently later. But however he does it, I think he's going to have a fun time scheming up an offense to face this Ravens defense. Whereas, like on the Ravens side, still one of the less productive offenses in the league. I know obviously missing Lamar Jackson for a couple weeks is not that great, but they are 10th in rushing yards on offense. But I still think that passing game is just so inefficient. They're 29th in passing yards that it's really hard for them to be effective in a lot of these games just because they can't really throw the ball consistently. And again, missing Lamar Jackson for a couple games really hurts. But
Yeah.
I just think that was something that we were seeing. This offensive line was struggling to pass block, and he just wasn't, as good as we had seen in the past. So
Yeah. Well, and that's where you go kind of look at Derrick Henry stats from when Lamar Jackson got hurt to now, and it really is. It's almost like teams are just saying like, no, we're just going to put all these guys in the box and be like, we're not going to have Derrick Henry. You're the best form of offense now, like with Lamar Jackson being out. Like, yeah, we're not going to allow him to run against you. So like Cooper Rush, you're gonna have to throw against us. And their receiving weapons and their offense fits really well within the dynamicness that Lamar Jackson has. But to your point, like what they've had over the past couple of weeks has just not been working. Just because of
yeah,
like they don't have the dynamicness of Lamar Jackson. But even then, with that too, it's I really like what this offense can be under Lamar Jackson. But their biggest issue, the reason why they lost Week 1 against Buffalo, and then why they were losing these the games since then, is just the defense is not. It's not the Baltimore defense that we're all used to, like that AFC North type, like hard
yeah,
nosed Ray Lewis days defense. And that's the stuff that they got to fix. And now you do lose Manabike for the whole season for neck injury, and that's obviously going to be devastating with the pressure that you get up front. But even still, too, kind of you go look at the secondary as well and the weapons that they have back there, and it's still just a little interesting why they're struggling in the pass game. And I think part of it, and that's maybe it's a complementary defense where you lose the pass rush and the pressure on the quarterback, then it's just going to make it a harder job for the secondary, and that potentially could be it. And then also too, then as well, like they're dealing just with a bunch of other injuries as well too, like the Various Robinson, Roquan Smith. They've all been hurt. They're hoping to maybe get them back for this matchup here. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But I think that's just going to be one of its little shock events of like where Baltimore was last year to how this year's probably going to pan out,
Yeah.
and it's not going to get much easier for them here because the AFC North. I mean, Bengals seem to fix some things with Joe Flacco. The Steelers are always just going to be a tough fight as well, and this was going to be no different. I think it's going to Ben Johnson's going to have a similar game plan as what how you mentioned with the Saints. Run heavy, like let's see if you can stop the run. That's going to open things up for Caleb Williams. And Bears got a lot of weapons too. I mean, you got your veteran receiver and DJ Moore, then up and coming guys and Roma Dunze and Luther. I say up and coming. Like I know Roma Dunze's second year, but I think he has traits to be their number one. Luther Burden is going to be that toolsy weapons guy that Ben Johnson loves to use. And then you still got a guy like Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet as well too back there. So I think that that's going to be. I think it's just going to be too much for Baltimore to have to cover in Ben Johnson's offense. And I know Caleb Williams, he's improving, and we've seen him improve. He can maybe get a little wild at times, but however, I do still think the for the Ravens defense, it's just going to be too much. I think for them to bounce back. And so I will say Bears might be without Cole Kmet. He hurt his back in this game, so I have to kind of wait and see. Might also be without Tyreek Stevenson, one of their top corners as well. And so hopefully that'll help out a little bit with the Baltimore passing game.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm also going to go with Chicago. I just don't think Baltimore is up to the task this year.
Yeah. Hmm.
I just think it's going to be really tough for them to compete given the injuries, some of the offensive inefficiencies that we have seen so far. Now maybe they were able to fix that during their bye week, but for right now, I just don't know if I can pick them confidently to go and win, especially against a team that has been playing pretty good football in the Chicago Bears. So gonna take Chicago in this one.
Yeah.
So
Same here. If it wasn't obvious earlier, I could remember if I said it or not. But I still think it's just kind of maybe in for a shock long season for Baltimore, a little unexpected. But I mean, at least they get the Bears. They get the Dolphins next week for Thursday Night Football, and so that's going to be. We've had some really good Thursday Night Football games. We were due for a bad Thursday Night Football game. I think that's going to be one of them. But when we go look at these upcoming teams here, though, for the Ravens, you got at the Vikings, at the Bears, and at the Browns, and that's going to be a tough defensive game as well. I know they
yeah,
beat the crap out of the Browns earlier this year when Joe Flacco was there, but it's still yards wise, the Browns were able to keep this offense in check. They have a lot of division games coming up, and then a tough stretch to end the season with versus your Patriots and at Green Bay, and then at Pittsburgh as well. So it's a shot for them to still make the playoffs. But if they lose this game, if we're correct on this one, they fall to 1-6
6.
on the season, and that's going to be really tough. They're going to essentially run the table, I think, to fight for a wild card spot.
Yeah, especially you look at the AFC. There's a clear separation between teams that are in the playoffs right now and teams that are not. And so I think they might take 10, 11 wins to get into the playoffs. And some of those teams, a lot of those teams are on their schedule coming up. I mentioned my Patriots, the Bengals, and the Steelers. I think are both those
They
teams
have a
as
couple
well.
games against them. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and so that's a really tough road. They're going to have to win pretty much all those games to
Yeah.
uh, come out in the playoffs here.
Yeah.
So
And
uh,
the Bears' upcoming schedule is no slouch either. It got
yeah,
significantly tougher now because they're at the Ravens, they're at Cincinnati, which that's now a tougher game with this Joe Flacco led offense. Home versus the Giants, which I can't believe it's going to be a tough game as well. But the Giants team, they're playing really hard. It's going to be a dynamic offense. I say dynamic, a tough offense to go up against. just because
Yeah.
Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo have kind of reinvigorated this offense, and this defense is tough too. But Minnesota's going to be tough. Then the Steelers as well. Then they play Philly and then Green Bay. Like the Bears have still a very tough road ahead for them to keep their playoff hopes alive as well too. Even though they're sitting at 4-2.
Yeah. So I think both these teams, I'm very curious to see how the rest of the season plays out for them. For now, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Chicago Bears? Will it be the Baltimore Ravens? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.